Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Football, Married Edition, your new favorite place for fantasy football, NFL hot takes, questionable opinions, and just enough marital disagreements to keep things interesting because sometimes you can't agree on everything, all right? We're your hosts, Amanda and Drew, and we are recording this episode on August 18th. Football season is officially here, my friends. Fantasy football drafts are right around the corner. They're knocking on all of our doors. And today we are going to dig into everything you need to know about wide receivers. We're going to give you our top 20 wide receiver rankings, as well as some later round guys we love to target in drafts right now as well. We're going to talk some of those, like, not fully sleeper picks, but just later in that draft wide receivers that we are just very excited that could make their way up the rankings aggressively. But first, before we dive into everything you know about wide receivers, I'm going to pass it over to my handsome co-host, Drew, and have him break down all of the news and injury updates from around the league.
Yeah, welcome in. All right, well, we got some updates from around the league with some injuries. Puka, update on his groin, now might miss the rest of the week. I know on yesterday's episode, we talked about how he was supposed to be back this week. Supposed to be back yesterday, was not back yesterday. Now he's going to miss the rest of the week more than likely. I'm a little bit worried. Groins, their re-aggravation is a big issue with groins. So I would imagine they're going to keep him out for as long as possible, so he's as good as possible for week one.
Yeah,
I expect him to be there, assuming
Puka
he's not suspended.
Taking a ton of reps right now.
No.
Like, we need Puka sitting his ass down and focusing on recovery. That is our main focal point for him right now.
Absolutely. As of right now, I'm not moving him down my board. We're going to wait a couple weeks, and then right before I draft, we'll see what happens. Next, Jordan Tyson. This is devastating.
Oh, that is devastating. I was just looking at him on ranking boards, and I was like, I wonder what that's going to look like this year. That fucking sucks.
I know. I was super excited for him. He's a great talent. In case you don't know, rookie wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints. He was going to be a great tandem with Chris Olave, give Tyler Shuck good weapons with the Kellen Moore high-flying offense. Well, he's going to miss 2 months, so he will be out for quite some time. To me, he is way down my board now, somebody that I'm not even looking at until the double-digit rounds. And it's a hamstring injury, so even when he comes back, re-injury is huge there. So Breece Hall update. We let you know yesterday that he had a groin injury during practice. Came out today. Aaron Glenn expects him to be out 2 to 3 weeks now with the groin injury, so another groin. Hopeful for week one. Aaron Glenn expects him to be ready for week one, but again, re-injury risk upon return. Breece Hall, he's sliding down my board.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now for some positive news.
Ooh, we like some positive in the mess of the chaos, right?
We do. Malik Neighbors still working back from the injury he sustained last year. He has officially worked out in team drills for the first time. Did a little bit of 11-on-11 work. So steps in the right direction. Still don't know if he'll be there week one. I don't expect him to be there week one, or at least not 100%. However, I'm still targeting him in drafts. We'll get to him a little bit later.
Yep.
But steps in the right direction there. And then old man Keenan Allen back for another year.
Completely blacked out and forgot about Keenan Allen until I saw your list of news and updates, and I was like, oh shit, he's still gonna climb out of the depths and make his way into the NFL again. Got it. Okay.
Absolutely. So he's signing a 1-year deal with the Colts.
Oh, the Colts love to collect old people. It's perfect.
They do. Yeah. So what this tells me, look, I'm not interested in Keenan Allen right off the bat. I mean, maybe a double-digit flyer. He is relatively old, was okay last year, a little bit of production early in the season, and then, as a lot of the older receivers do, they fall off by the end of the year. I think it makes an impact on Caleb Downs, and I don't know what this says about Josh Downs, and Alec Pierce. That injury seems to be lingering, and the fact they brought in Keenan Allen
that makes me a little nervous that injury isn't just he's going to be okay, and maybe it's deeper than that.
Yeah, I think this officially, unless his ADP drops further than where it is right now, I think I might be out on Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce, we just love him because he was like he stood for his quarterback. He was like, I'll stay if you bring Daniel. We love a dedicated king who just will absolutely stand by his quarterback. And now I'm sad.
Yeah, Alec Pierce in the 8th round. I think he needs to slide further for me now with
Agreed.
this injury. He's worrying me. So
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the news and updates from around the league.
All right. Well, let's waste no more time and jump right into our wide receiver top 20 rankings. To be honest, the top of this board is pretty freaking cut and dry, as it should be. There are 2 wide receivers at the top of this board, and I think this is very similar, in my opinion, to like Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. Take your pick. Who do you believe in more? It's Jamar Chase and none other than Puka Nacua at number 1 and number 2. Puka. He just sounds like a... What's the word I'm looking for?
It's Pikachu.
Pikachu, yes.
He's a Pokemon.
What is it?
Yeah, it's
Pokemon.
Pikachu. It's
yes. He just
Pokemon,
Puka,
yeah.
Puka.
It's instead of Pika Pika, it's Puka Puka.
Puka Puka. But yeah, those are our 1 and 2 for the wide receiver rankings at the top of our board. I lean Jamar Chase ahead of Puka Nacua. Again, you're always believing in the offense a little bit more. I think he will get a higher amount of target share on that offense. I also think that with a healthy Joe Burrow, I favor that offensive unit as opposed to obviously an old Matt Stafford, which he did great last year. Don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from him, but obviously the injury risk as you get older gets higher and higher and higher. So I'm going to bet on the younger horse of Joe Burrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Jamar Chase is both of our number 1s. I think he's consensus for everybody. They're number 1 right now. And again, you explained a bit of the difference with Jamar and Puka. It's not only the injury risk of Puka's got that groin right now, but it's also Matt Stafford being in his 40s and has got back injuries. And what happens if he goes down? You could end up being in a bit of a Justin Jefferson situation where you've got a quarterback that's not Matt Stafford throwing to him.
Who's their backup quarterback?
Ty Simpson is there. They drafted him in the 1st round this year. They also have Stetson Bennett still there. So I believe Stetson Bennett is still there. I'd have to double check that. But either way, yeah. So Jamar number 1, Puka number 2. It's pretty clear cut there. The debate really comes in at 3. We have 3 guys that are all mixed together. We've got CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, all tied at number 3 in our consensus rankings. I personally have it CeeDee, Amon-Ra, then JSN. Amanda, you've got it JSN, Amon-Ra, then CeeDee. So CeeDee versus Jackson Smith and Jigba. Why do you like Jackson Smith and Jigba over CeeDee Lamb?
Gosh, I think target share is probably the biggest reason that I like JSN ahead of CeeDee Lamb. I see George Pickens' 2nd year with the Cowboys. I have a feeling that it might be a little bit more split. Who knows? I think that I value what JSN might give me from a fantasy perspective over what potentially CeeDee Lamb could give me. I agree that Amon-Ra should sit right in the middle. I like Amon-Ra in the middle. I just think he's your most consistent horse is Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
You worry a little bit about JSN.
We also love Amon-Ra.
Oh, I'm an Amon-Ra
This household
fan.
loves Amon-Ra, so we will always rate him
I
highly because we absolutely love him.
Stand by that man through and through. But when I look at JSN too, we looked at what he did last year. He had 163 targets, 119 receptions. It was an NFL high. He led the league in targets and receptions. So it was crazy what production he could do. But we worry about regression. Like, will that fall back a little bit? Will he be able to maintain that high?
No, it has to regress.
Doesn't have to do anything.
You're correct, but for me, it's they also lost their offensive coordinator. Clint Kubiak's gone. True. What does that offense look like? And also, look at some of the big. To me, that's the best season that JSN will ever have because it was so ridiculously good that you almost have to guarantee a regression. And CeeDee also didn't play the entire season, had 117 targets, 75 receptions, 1,000 yards. He played 14 games. He wasn't healthy the entire year. I also trust Dak Prescott more than I trust Sam Darnold.
Yeah, you do have to think about quarterback selection too. And yeah, Sam Darnold was, he won a Super Bowl, but less than impressive last year from a quarterback perspective. Yeah, I still can't believe that happened, but yeah, no, I think that all 3 of those guys are really interchangeable, just depending on what you're looking for on your team, who you trust more as well. If I had to pick between those three, just due to pure loyalty, I might just go ahead and snag Amon-Ra. I haven't had him on my team in a while. I'd love to have him back.
Yeah, the consistency of Amon-Ra is hard to pass up for me.
He also plays through fucking everything. Man is
Yeah.
hurt. Oh, he's going to miss a week. Nah, hold my fucking beer. I'm coming in,
He's been
baby.
wide receiver 3 for 3 straight seasons, so it's pure consistency. I do not think he has the ability to be wide receiver 1, where I do believe that obviously JSN does, and I believe that CD also has that ability in him. I don't think Amon-Ra does, but I also don't think, assuming health, I don't think he can drop below 6. He's just so consistent. Not to mention that finished wide receiver 3 last year, had 11 touchdowns, and he was tackled inside the 1-yard line more than any other player in the NFL. So he could have had even more. But again, 3 different great options. I think you can go with any of them. Amon-Ra, I think, is the safest, but your ceiling is higher with a JSN and a CD.
Agreed. All right, moving on. Who do we have next on our board
Justin
here?
Jefferson with the Vikings. We're both
gosh.
expecting a bit of a bounce back, I guess.
Yeah, you know what? I think that a lot of people were scarred by the lack of production in JJ last year, but you have to keep in mind that that quarterback room was just a shitstorm of nothing, and he was never able to be the guy that I think we all know he can be. I'm going to keep him up there. I'm not scared to take him. I believe Kevin McConnell, yes? This is correct.
Kevin O'Connell.
O'Connell. I was like, that doesn't sound
O'Connell.
right coming out of my mouth. I believe
He's the
that
guy.
He's
the
also
guy that
dedicated.
when he wears the hat,
He's a hat
you think
catfish.
he's attractive.
He's only
but when
hot
he's
with a hat
not,
on.
he's
Yes.
not attractive to you. Yes,
A full-blown hat catfish. Yes, I saw him on that documentary. Was it the quarterback documentary or wide receiver? When it was quarterbacks, wasn't it? Yes, when Kirk Cousins was playing.
Kirk
for the
Cousins.
Vikings.
I think it was season 1. Yeah.
And I always was like, oh, yeah, he can be on my, sexy head coach list. And then
list.
he didn't have a fucking hat on. And I was like, who is that man? Never mind. Take him off the fucking list, guys. Nonetheless, yeah, Justin Jefferson is someone that I do believe in. And also, they did announce Kyler Murray as the starter. And I don't think that he's booty hole for that offense by any means. Like, he's not a horse I won't bet on. And I believe that they want to have a bounce back year from an offensive standpoint. And I think that'll happen. So I like JJ this year. I also think he has a little bit less competition from a wide receiver standpoint. Obviously they have Jordan Addison as well, but I think it's JJ. Jordan Addison.
I mean, he's the alpha. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't scare me as much as the CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens duo as Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. I believe Justin Jefferson will stand firm there. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the Cowboys this year.
With the Vikings, yes.
CD and Pickens.
Oh, yes. When you're talking about Justin Jefferson, we both agree that the bounce back's going to happen. 141 targets, only 84 receptions last year.
Only 2 touchdowns on the year.
And 2 touchdowns. Just the quarterback play was so bad. There were so many uncatchable passes that even if you get 50% better quarterback play from Kyler, which I think you have to. Look, Kyler hasn't been great for a couple years, but he has to be better than what they had last year. And if he gets 141 targets again and gets 102 receptions instead of 84 and gets 1,300 yards and 5 or 6 touchdowns, look, he's going to jump back up the board from wide receiver 21 last year. So we both think that the bounce back's coming. We also think a bounce back or a little bit more consistent play is coming with our next guy, A.J. Brown, now with the Patriots, left the Eagles. He is our wide receiver 7. Let me know your thoughts on A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I'm definitely hot and heavy on A.J. Brown, Drake May combo this year. Obviously, Stephon Diggs performed great with the Patriots last year as their wide receiver 1. A.J. Brown's much better than him, okay? So I think that will be a huge win from a combo standpoint. Also, A.J. Brown still had 1,000 yards last year, right? He wasn't like the shittiest year of all shitty years. He still had 1,000 yards with the production that we were unhappy with. Add a productive quarterback that can actually throw catchable balls to him. I believe this is going to be an increase. Stephon Diggs is gone. There's some booty drama, isn't there? Isn't Booty maybe not coming back to the Patriots?
He's in camp. Yeah, all reports are that he's performing well. However, they traded for A.J. Brown. They brought Romeo Doubs in. They still have a really good slot receiver, and his name is escaping me right now.
Is it Pat Bryant? No.
Pop Douglas, Demario Douglas. Yep,
yes.
Still a really good slot. Booty requested a trade in the offseason, and
Booty rocking everywhere, man.
Yeah,
he's productive. I think him gone. I like
yeah.
AJ Brown even better.
I don't think it matters for AJ Brown's production. I think it's more of is it Dobbs or is it Booty on the outside opposite Brown? I can't imagine that it's not Romeo, considering that they paid him a good amount of money. I would like to see Booty get traded, and look, imagine Kayshon Booty with the Chiefs. Or imagine him. Ew!
Don't wish that upon us. We don't need that.
Yeah,
okay.
But he's a good receiver. So imagine the production we could get from him if he goes to a team like the Chiefs, or even, and this is disgusting, but imagine he goes to the Dolphins, right, where they need receiver help.
They do.
Look,
You're not wrong.
At that point, if you can get 100 targets for Booty, even from Malik Willis, look, that's production. That's a flex play.
He's a good player. Like
he's a good player.
Showed up
good
last
deep
year.
route receiver. Yeah, I like him a lot. But yeah, AJ Brown, we're both high on him this year, higher than consensus out there. We think that he's going to dominate. Drake May throws a great deep ball, one of the best in the NFL, and AJ Brown, very good at catching deep balls, right?
He loves a deep ball.
I think that's going to be loves a
I was going to say something inappropriate, but never mind.
Shocker.
All right, moving on to number 8, we have Drake London. Do I have Drake London at 8? I do not have Drake London at 8.
You have him
I have
at
George
9?
Pickens at 8, and I have Drake London at 9. So a little decorum there. Tell me why you value Drake London higher than George Pickens. Is it just because wide receiver 1?
Yeah, I think it. So this is a tough one, right? It's a coin flip to me. I've got Drake London a little bit higher than George. I actually have George Pickens at 11. I have Chris Olave and Rashee Rice above George Pickens.
Oh, bless. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I put shame on Rashee Rice's name, and I shouldn't have, but it's fine.
You did. One, he's the main target of the team. You've also seen wide receiver 1s or the number 1 targets on Kevin Stefanski offenses do pretty well. He's a big-bodied slot receiver. I believe in Kevin Stefanski as an offensive coach. And you have Tua. Tua's going to get rid of the ball really quick. It's going to be a lot of short passes. We've seen what Kevin Stefanski's been doing the last couple years, or attempting to do at the Browns. It's a lot of short passes. I think that's what they're going to do with Tua this year. So
short passes to Drake London. You don't think short passes to Kyle Pitts?
It could be both, but history's shown that Drake London's a very good receiver. 112 targets last year in only 12 games. I think he's just it's targets. He is going to demand the most targets on that team. George Pickens will not have the most targets on the Cowboys. I think George Pickens is a great receiver, and I think he will finish in the top 10. I'm going to choose the guy that's the number 1 on his team in this situation over the wide receiver 2, and we're splitting hairs here. I'm comfortable with either one.
Yeah, I get it. If you're in the back, oh no, he won't make it there. Never mind. Drake London's going at the top of the second, and it looks like Pickens might fall to the end, depending on obviously draft boards as we get closer. But
frankly, I don't think you're choosing. Yeah, I don't think you're choosing. It depends on your league, but I don't think you're really choosing between them. I think if you're following ADP, look, Drake London, you're going to take him earlier. You're going to have to, right? And then George, you're going to have to wait a little while. So. But that's kind of where that's at for me.
Okay. All right. Let's move to 10, 11, 12. This is where it gets a little bit messy. 10 and 11. Yes, this is where it gets a little bit messy for us. Chris Olave, Rashee Rice in that 10, 11 realm. What did I have? Chris Olave. No, I had.
You have Chris Olave at 14. Just absolute disrespect.
Rashee Rice at 13.
Absolute disrespect.
I did just straight up disrespect these players, but it's fine. I put Malik Neighbors ahead of all of them personally, but you kind of give me feedback on why Chris Olave there.
He's a great receiver. They had a fantastic year last year, 156 targets, 100 receptions, nearly 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns. He played great last year. Tyler Shuck took steps forward once he took over the back half of the year. A Kellen Moore offense again. Kellen Moore offenses, on average, year after year, always have more plays run by the end of the year because the pace that they play with is always a lot higher. They also do not have a great defense. So, bad defense, what I believe to be a really good offense this year. Chris Olave, assuming he stays healthy, I think he's going to be very good. I believe he's going to be better than Malik because he's going to play more games. So Malik, I believe, is an incredible receiver. I'm worried Malik misses the beginning of the year, which is why I have Malik a little bit lower than you do. And even if he starts the beginning of the year,
bet on losing a couple games early on Malik and then absolutely dominating the back end of my year with
he
Malik
absolutely
Neighbors on my
can,
team.
but if you're looking at the offenses that they're going to run, you've got a John Harbaugh-led team that typically likes to be more balanced and run the ball more versus a high-flying Kellen Moore offense that loves to run and gun and gets a lot of plays in. So I think it's just opportunities that you're on the field, I think is the big difference there. And also, I don't know that Jackson Dart is better than Tyler Shuck is. They both played pretty well at times last year.
It's going to be an interesting quarterback brawl here for those second years. I agree.
Jackson Dart was most effective running the ball last year, and he can't do that this year, or he'll be off the field.
Throwing his body around, he can't. He'll get hurt. I mean, we saw him already go down multiple times, and you're holding your breath every time because you're like, this kid needs to learn how to play NFL football, not just, I'll put my body out there. Yeah, we love that. I love it when quarterbacks go all in, but you got to go all in safe because if you don't play very long.
Absolutely. So we have Rashee Rice, split that 10-11 spot with Chris Olave. I have him a few spots higher than you. It's not a big difference, but why Rashee Rice? Again, you've got Malik Neighbors and Nico Collins and even T. Higgins, which we'll discuss a little bit later because we're way different on him.
Yeah.
Why Rashee below those guys?
Gosh, I think that, number one, obviously, there isn't a ton of wide receiver weapons from the Kansas City standpoint. So I do worry that, hey, can we just shut down that player and target him and not let him be able to get as many catchable balls? Are we going to use Walker more in that offense? Is he going to take some of that touchdown opportunity away? I think that's my biggest kind of gripe behind Rashee Rice. Also, Patrick Mahomes coming back from injury. Does he get hurt again? Is that become a problem? Who knows? I don't love him in that offense if they don't have another true wide receiver weapon in that offense to be able to free him up a little bit more. I think he becomes someone who can get shut down.
The one thing that I have
we're disappointed.
With Rashee Rice versus like a Nico Collins, it's going to be what format you play in. If you're in a PPR league, I'm taking Rashee Rice because he's going to get a lot more targets and receptions close to the line of scrimmage. He's not a burner. He's basically what he started to do was replace Travis Kelce for Patrick Mahomes in that short to middle range area, and he was very good at it. So if you're in a PPR league or maybe even a half PPR league, I'm definitely going Rashee Rice. If you're in a standard league, I'm okay taking a Nico Collins type player over a Rashee Rice. I would definitely move Rashee down because deep balls, touchdowns, I think those are going to be a little bit more in favor of, a Nico Collins or maybe even a T. Higgins at that point. So, again, format matters.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, give me your thoughts on T. Higgins then, because you do not put any respect on TT's name
we're
here.
way different here. So
where do you have him at?
I have him at 7. Or I'm sorry, I have him at 21, and you have him
at
12.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Jeez,
quite a bit different. Look, I might be persuaded to move him up a little bit. I think maybe now looking at it, I have him a little low. But, man, I really like the guys that are above him.
He had 11 touchdowns on 59 catches last year. 11 touchdowns on 59 catches.
He always misses games. I guess that's kind of in the back of my mind. He's
not playing all year. He's at least missing 2 games. I'm betting on it. 98 targets? I mean, he didn't even play every game. And Joe Burrow was out.
I don't know. Convince me why T. Higgins is too low on my list.
I think, first of all, 21 touchdowns in his last 27 games. So the last 27 games he's played, he's had 21 touchdowns. At some point, you have to look at that as a huge value asset. He's 6'4". He's 224 pounds. He's playing, or 220 pounds. He's playing with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is back, and he was able to have that production with Joe Burrow out for a lot of those games. You're telling me that's not going to mirror and remain the same as he comes back into this year?
Absolutely can. I think it's just because I'm a little bit more excited about some of the other players that are going around that area.
Fair.
I like Emeka Egbuka a little bit more, strictly just because the upside. Yeah. He's an exciting new player. Devontae Smith. I could see me taking T over Devontae or Garrett Wilson. I have them ranked above him.
Both of those things. Yep.
Yeah.
Even like
I think I might need to move him up a few spots.
Yeah, I think he deserves to be at least a little bit closer to being rankings. Where do you have him? I want to go back and look at your rankings. Where do you have him compared to like Tet McMillan? You had him below Tet McMillan. So you're telling me that you believe in Bryce Young.
No, I don't.
Okay. So like that's what I'm talking is like you have to look at quarterback situation here too. Like
target share.
Yes, okay.
It's all target share.
Yes, he's splitting target share with, but there's always one combo of wide receivers, wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, that dominate the year. I think what you're betting on this year is what 1-2 is going to actually be able to dominate in tandem. Is it going to be CD and Pickens? Is it going to be Chase and Higgins? What 1-2 combo are going to both be extremely productive?
I would bet on the Cowboys over the Bengals.
Interesting.
Yeah, every year there's always 2 receivers from the same team that finish in the top 12. Every year. There's always at least one. Last year was the Rams with Puka and Devontae Adams. Obviously, Devontae Adams had a ridiculous amount of touchdowns last year.
Short, stupid, 1-yard fucking touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at T. He finished PPR 15 last year, 17 the year before, 51 and 23. He was hurt. 18, 24, 28. You know what? Nope, I'm keeping him exactly where I'm at. It's target share for Tet. It's target share for Tet McMillan. Last year, 98 targets for T. Higgins, 109, 76, 110, 110, 108. I mean, if we look at what Tet did just last year in his rookie season, he had 122 targets. Yes, they're Bryce Young targets.
How many?
But if he can get that target share up to
on those
70,
oh, okay.
He had 70.
Okay,
it was low.
Cool. Yeah.
However, but that was also as a rookie. So if his target share goes up to some of these elite guys in the 130s and 140, he'll have 100 receptions, and T. Higgins is not going to get anywhere near 100 receptions. So, yes, I would still take Tet over him. Anyway, back to our list. We had Malik Neighbors. We talked about him. Nico Collins right there in that 12-13 range. What do you think about Nico Collins?
Oh, gosh. I'm split. I think that what I worry most about with Nico Collins is how productive their defense is as well. I think that adds part of the conversation where they're not going to have to score as many points because their defense aren't going to let up as many points in the game. I think Nico Collins is a fantastic wide receiver. Obviously, yes, we're always going to worry about quarterback production there. Is CJ Stroud going to have a good year this year? I mean, we said that last year. We had the conversation. He had was it his rookie year that he just absolutely demolished? And then after that kind of regressed, right? It wasn't his second year. This is only his third year.
Who's that, Nico?
No, CJ Stroud.
Oh, yeah, I believe it's his third year.
Yeah, I mean, he had a fantastic, and then also they're having some weapons come back. Yeah, talk of Tank Dell potentially finally being able to return to football as well, which that was a gnarly injury. I just worry more about their safe play. Are they going to be a little bit more safe where they're up, they're winning, they know their defense is going to be able to stop the ball, so they're going to run the ball. And they're going to take, 3 and out and get off the field, let their defense handle business, leaving less scoring opportunities. That is my biggest fear with Nico Collins.
Okay. We have them both ranked about the same, right in that 12-13 spot. So, I don't mind that there. Garrett Wilson, we have consensus 14, although we are different on. I've got him at 12 and you have him at 19. I've got him a little bit higher. Again, it's target share. I'm not excited about Geno. However, Geno has produced productive wide receivers in the past. It's just been a couple years. So we'll see what happens there. Again, when you're getting peppered with targets and you can get to 130 targets in a season, which I think Garrett Wilson can, it just produces a lot of fantasy value unless the quarterback is just absolutely abysmal. And I don't think Geno, he's had a couple bad
interceptions did he throw
years
last year? I mean, Geno Smith was
I don't
the
care.
league at INTs last year.
I don't care about the interceptions, though. If you look at what Jameis Winston did when he started with Tampa, 8-9 years ago, he's the only 30-30 quarterback in history where he threw for over 30 touchdowns and over 30 interceptions in the same season.
Fuck.
You know what happens when you throw a lot of interceptions? Short fields, the other team scores, and then you get the ball back. And then guess what? You have to throw the ball because you're behind. So I'm not as worried about that. You also have Breece Brees Hall with a bit of an injury right now.
True.
You know, if that continues, maybe they're not going to be able to run the ball very well or very often. So
you're
look,
telling me in that
Garrett
situation,
Wilson's
you're
an
going
amazing
to
receiver.
you're going to go Wilson over T. Higgins. You're going to take Geno Smith and Garrett Wilson over Joe Burrow and T. Higgins.
Good thing is I don't think I have to make that decision.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're going to
If you look at
decision.
ADP, no, if you look at ADP, Garrett Wilson's going middle of the 4th round. T. Higgins
Okay.
is going in the 3rd round.
Okay.
So I don't think I have to make that decision. But if I did have to make that decision, yeah, I think I'm taking Garrett Wilson. I think I'm taking the alpha on the team over the Robin, if you will.
Oh, give me a Robin. I like a second act man. Let's do it. I like it. For to be clear, I did not marry a Robin. I married the Batman. Okay.
You married the Batman.
The Batman. Okay. Not only does he really like
Batman.
Batman, but he's also not a secondary man. He is the leading man. All right. All right, moving on to our next. We were at Garrett Wilson. So 15-16, we have Devontae Smith and Emeka Egbuka. Two interesting names, obviously two very different offenses this year. Devontae Smith now with no A.J. Brown, Emeka Egbuka with no Mike Evans. I think I might preference, and then Devontae Smith knowing that Mekhi Lemon likely is injured and not going to start the year. Who knows what's actually going to happen. But I like Emeka Egbuka over Devontae Smith. If I had to pick one or the other and bet on the dark horse in my situation, that's kind of who I would lean on preferably over Devontae Smith. Not that I don't think Devontae Smith is going to have a productive year. I just think if we had to look at true wide receiver one, I think Emeka Egbuka has the potential to be able to be a true wide receiver one. And I don't know if Devontae Smith is any more than just a Robin next to a really good Batman.
Yeah, he's a former Heisman Trophy winner, drafted in the top 10. He's a great receiver, slender build, but I mean, imagine Devontae Smith's skill.
He is a tiny little dude.
Yeah, but imagine he's in a 6'2", 200-pound frame. Nobody ever thinks about that. You know, you put him in that frame, and people think of him as the alpha number one on any team because he's so good at what he does.
I just worry every time he gets hit. I'm like, is he broken? Is his body broken?
Yeah, to me, look, I like Egbuka over Smith very narrowly. I think Baker's better than Jalen Hurts is. Might be a bit controversial.
Hot take, but I like it. I like it.
I think Baker's a good quarterback. Baker was so hurt last year that he couldn't throw the ball anymore. So everything by the end of the year when Egbuka couldn't, they couldn't connect on anything. Baker was missing his mark, and a big reason because Baker's shoulder was so messed up that he couldn't throw the ball very well. So a healthy Baker on an offense that will have to score points. I like Egbuka as taking over that alpha role. Also, at the end of last year, Egbuka had to take over for Mike Evans' role, and positionally, it doesn't seem like it would be that big of an issue because he's always just changing from the X receiver over to the Z receiver to take over Mike Evans. Well, that's not the style that he plays with. It's a completely different position, although it's still a wide receiver. There are different wide receiver positions. This year, they're going into the year with Egbuka in the role that he is designed to play. He's not going to be taking over that Mike Evans role in the system. That will be taken over by a mixture of Ted Hurst or Tez Johnson or Jalen McMillan. I'm not worried about Egbuka positionally. They've had an entire offseason to design an offense that will be centered around him.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm
not worried about the
love
dropping
Egbuka
issue either. Like you even mentioned, like he was in a different role, different position that he's not fully used to. I don't worry about the drops. When he was with Evans, he had 6.3 targets a game with Evans, 8.5 targets without Evans last year.
Yeah.
So like target share increased. Obviously, we're going to see that compound this year. So I agree with you on that. Obviously, Drew put disrespect on T. Higgins' name, and so he's at 17 on our list. And then we have Mr. Tataroa McMillan. He was definitely talked a lot about last year. I think every year we're like, should I play Tet? Should I not play Tet? Should I put him in? Should I not put him in my lineup? Obviously, I think the production of Tet solely lives and dies on how productive can Bryce Young be this year. Obviously, I know you already mentioned a little bit about Tet is high target share. He's going to get a lot of the targets. He is that guy on the team. He's going to be the main focal point. How many of those targets are going to be valuable targets and receivable targets as opposed to targets that were absolute shit because we're dealing with an inconsistent Bryce Young.
Yeah, you're going to get some bad targets from Bryce Young. I I don't think he takes the next step forward, which is unfortunate for Tet McMillan. I think he takes the path of a lot of these other quarterbacks have taken recently, like a Tua, and some of these guys that have gotten close to contract time haven't really taken a step forward. I don't think Bryce Young should be getting another contract. But who else are they going to throw the ball to? They just drafted a receiver early this year. I believe his name is Chris Brazzell. He's already out for the year. He got injured in training camp. He's out for the year. So Jalen Coker's coming back from injury. He's a pretty good slot receiver. But look, the alpha is Tet McMillan. He's got the huge frame. He's great at contested catches. I think he's a tremendous receiver. I don't care if Bryce Young takes the next step if his target share just gets higher. Last year, his target share was a little bit lower than what we want from an alpha receiver, but he was also a rookie. So coming into year 2, I think the 122 targets increases up. If he gets to 140 targets, goes from 70 receptions up closer to that 90 figure, maybe puts up 300 more yards than he did. I think he can get to double-digit touchdowns. I think that's possible. So I think Tet's a good receiver. Again, I don't want Tet to be the number 1 receiver on my fantasy team.
No.
I'm comfortable with him being my wide receiver too. I'm also comfortable. He's a set and forget guy. I don't think you're going to – I mean, most of these guys should be set and forget at this point.
Yeah, most of his top 20 should be, yeah. But no, I agree. He's definitely going to round out your wide receiver room. He's not going to be your lead dude. But he also has potential to climb his way up this board and finish in the top, he could finish in the top 5 wide receivers if he can connect a little bit more frequently. Again, like we said, just due to the sheer amount of volume he should receive.
Yeah, if he finishes in the top 5, Bryce Young takes a big step forward. So if you are a believer in Bryce Young, get Tet McMillan. Target Tet McMillan in drafts because right now he's going at the 3-4 turn. Even if you need to take him in the beginning of the 3rd round because you believe that step forward for Bryce Young's going to happen, that's what you want to do. Go ahead and take Tet. Especially in fantasy, you're not taking Bryce Young later. So if you think that step forward is going to happen, Tet McMillan, take your shot on him. Take him in the early 3rd if you want. I'm just not a believer in Bryce Young, which is why I have him down in the low teens instead of taking that step up into the top 10.
All right, our last 3 on our list here at 19, 20, and 21 is Jalen Waddle, Ladd McConkey, and Zay Flowers. Those are our last 3 on the board for our consensus-ish 19, 20, or our average 19, 20, 21 here. In my opinion, out of these 3, I think this is an interesting one. Obviously, Jalen Waddle making his way over to Denver. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like just yet. I might preference slightly Ladd McConkey ahead of Jalen Waddle. Obviously, this is not Ladd McConkey's first rodeo here. We saw a little bit of lackluster from him last year, but I think he takes another step forward, specifically with the offensive changes with Mike McDaniels coming over. I'd be interested to see his usage in that offense. I am a little bit more intrigued by Ladd McConkey as opposed to Jalen Waddle if I have to decide between the two, which likely would be in there. They're both going in the 4th round. I would assume that Ladd McConkey finishes ahead of Jalen Waddle this season, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, look, 2 of the 3 situations here are just, it's up in the air. So you kind of have to go with your gut on what you believe. Look, is Ladd McConkey going to be the alpha receiver on what we hope is a high-flying Chargers offense? I don't know. Mm-hmm. He's a great receiver, but if you look back even to his college days at Georgia, he's never been the alpha, ever. On any team he's ever been on, he's never been that alpha receiver. And does he have it in him to demand the football? Look, we like diva receivers in fantasy football. We want them to demand the football. Ladd McConkey is not going to do that unless for some reason he changes everything about him over the offseason. He's not going to demand the football. So I'm also a little worried that maybe he's not in on all the 2 wide receiver sets. He's more of a slot guy, and if he's only in on slot, on 3 wide receiver sets,
he's missing a lot of plays.
He's going to miss plays, and I'm a little bit worried about that. I think his potential is very high. I think he's got great ceiling, because if he is that alpha and he becomes the Cooper Cup of this team when Cooper was with the Rams when he had the Triple Crown, I think that's possible. I also think it's possible that he's not in on all 2 wide receiver sets and he doesn't demand the football and he's just steady wide receiver 20, right in that range. I think that's possible. I also think with Jalen Waddle, look, he's been a dominator before. Before Tyreek Hill got to Miami, he was a dominator. He's coming into a team that has Cortland Sutton and a bunch of Jags. So I think he can come and demand targets. I also think that Bo Nix, while he didn't connect on many deep balls last year, if Jalen Waddle is used in that way, I think Jalen Waddle could be huge. Downside to Jalen Waddle, the dude always gets hurt.
I was going to say, Jalen Waddle's very like T. Higgins-esque, where he's not playing every game. Like, he's going to miss a couple games.
Yeah, if Jalen Waddle is healthy, I think he can be a top 10 receiver. You just have to think he's going to be healthy and he's going to play, let's just call it
doomsday prep Jalen
16
Waddle
games.
Hard. Yes, every time we're watching football and Jalen Waddle gets hit at all, Drew's like, oh, he's out. Even if he's not even hurt, but he's like, oh,
because
he
is out.
He's done for the game. Jeez, OP.
Yeah, or he's out for 3 series and then he limps back on the field and he makes a catch and then he's out. Yeah, I've had him on my team too many times. I can't watch Jalen Waddle. If I have him on my team, I just don't watch him play because I can't watch him get hit and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, well, there goes my fucking week. He's gone.
Like,
awesome.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, give me thoughts on Zay Flowers. I feel like Zay Flowers is like a little bit of a slept-on wide receiver.
He's disrespected.
He is disrespected because, like, even when I think about it, I'm like, oh, shit, I kind of forgot about freaking Zay Flowers. I think he gets really, like, obviously overlooked due to the fact of, Lamar Jackson controls that offense. We think about Baltimore. We think about Lamar Jackson. And then when Derrick Henry came over, he got a lot of notary. But, like, this is a solid-ass wide receiver. And he's boring, but he's good. He's a good wide receiver. He has good production.
Off the top of your head, what finish did Zay Flowers have last year in PPR leagues?
Oh, my goodness. I actually have absolutely
take a guess.
No idea. In PPR leagues, on a rating standpoint, did he finish top 15?
Wide receiver 7.
Shut up. That's how unsexy he is. Yep. It's just consistent. Like, and that offense
wide receiver
was like
7.
Last year too, because
Lamar got
so
hurt. And, wide receiver 7 last year. 118 targets, 86 catches, 1,200 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's the biggest issue with him is the touchdowns. If he does what he did last year and catches 9 touchdowns, he's got to be
happy.
Top 5, top 4 receiver. Yeah. And looking at these numbers, look, all of this is possible again. I'm moving him up. He's too low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
he's
don't
too low
disagree
for
with
us.
you. I agree. I think he's too low. And what's his, he's going in the 4th. So 408 is what he's valued at ADP wise currently. But again, like if I'm looking at Zay Flowers, Jalen Waddle, I'm going to preference Zay Flowers over him, even over Lad McConkey maybe, because again, he's going to get more of that work. He's a great wide receiver.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I think I'm going to move him up above
Dark
McConkey.
Ooh.
Above Waddle. It's just so hard. I want to put him above Tet and T.
Oh, Tet and T. I like that. I wouldn't, but okay.
Yeah.
I'd keep him in that range. I think he falls in that range. I think he should be valued. I think his ADP should be higher. I think he should be going in the 3rd somewhere, in my opinion, but.
Yeah, at 408, I think that's just a value pick.
Yeah. It's a steal. If you get him in that 4th round, if you get him deep in the 4th round, oh my God, absolutely. I'm snagging that for sure, obviously based on my team, but I think he can be a very good value receiver later in the draft.
Yeah, let me ask you here if we're looking at where Zay Flowers is going in the draft. So Zay Flowers, would you rather have Zay Flowers or Cam Scatterbo?
Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers or Kyron Williams?
Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers or
feels like an
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown.
Yeah, I would too. So that's probably where I stop.
Every time you do that, it feels like, well, you don't know this because you have 20/20, but for us, people who can't see shit, it's like when you go to the eye doctor and they're like, A or B better? A, or how about now, B or C? That's what I think every time you do that. All right, guys. Well, we have one final piece of the show here. We're going to talk shoot your shot. I can't say it. It's too many S's.
Shoot your shot.
Shoot your shot. Shoot your
shot
situations. Shoot your shot situations. I'm going to work on that. It'll be my vocal practice. But shoot your shot situations, a.k.a. there's some sticky wide receiver stuff going on out there. Where would you shoot your shot on a team that you think is going to have kind of like a breakout athlete that's going to step up and be the most dominant person on that team? You dive in first.
Yeah, okay. So there's 3 situations around the NFL where there's a lot of value to be had at the wide receiver position. You're looking at the Arizona Cardinals, the Green Bay Packers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, where there is value to be had, but there is no clear-cut number one that you know is going to be the guy that's going to get it, right? So you basically have to decide between these players and then shoot your shot. I want pieces of these teams. Who do I want from there, though, right? So Arizona Cardinals, you have Marvin Harrison Jr. and you've got Michael Wilson. Their ADPs are almost the exact same. They're going in the 7th round. To me, one of them, look, there's value to be had in that receiving room. You obviously have Trey McBride there. Trey McBride he is the de facto wide receiver 1, but there's very good value there, especially in the 7th round. So I want to shoot my shot on one of those 2 players, and you just have to choose which one you believe is going to be the guy that you'd want to shoot your shot on. So between Marvin Harrison and Michael Wilson, who are you shooting your shot on, Amanda?
Oh, I really hate this question. You know, it was so hard because we saw Michael Wilson have so much production when Marv went down with Jacoby himself. And then when Marv came back, everyone was like, well, can't play Michael Wilson anymore. And then you absolutely could still play Michael Wilson. So if I'm shooting my shot, I'm going to shoot my shot on Michael Wilson. I don't know if Marv can be that guy. I don't know if he can be that dominant wide receiver. We even said it with Kyler. Like, he didn't demand the ball. Like, we really wanted to see him demand the ball. I just think the Michael Wilson-Jacoby connection was so good last year and will continue into the year. So if I'd shoot my shot, that is who I'm shooting my shot on.
Okay. Now we've got the Green Bay Packers receiving room. So you've got Christian Watson at the 6:01, Jaden Reed at the 10:07, and Matthew Golden in the 11th to 12th round.
Fuck Jaden Reed, because one time I played him, when they were like the potpourri of wide receivers of Dobbs, Reed, and Watson last season, and of course it wasn't the Reed game, and he got me like 1 fucking point, and I have a grudge. But if you had to shoot your shot on those 3 wide receivers, who are you shooting your shot on?
Yeah, this is a situation where I am taking a Green Bay receiver in my drafts. No matter what, I'm coming away with one of those. It just depends on what value and what's around them, right? I think Christian Watson is going to be the number 1 on that team. I love where he's at in the 6th round, early 6th round, or late 5th round, so I'm definitely going to be targeting him there. If he's not there, I'm then going to drop back, and it's between Jaden Reed and Matthew Golden in the 10th, 11th round. I think I'm leaning towards Matthew Golden simply because he's going to be on the field, I believe, in 2 wide receiver sets. I don't think Jaden Reed is going to be. I know how much he wants to be, but I think Matthew Golden's going to be out there. They drafted him in the 1st round a year ago. It's cleared out for him, so I go Watson in the 6th, Golden in the 11th, 12th, and then Jaden Reed in the 10th is my order there.
Agreed. I think Watson made his way in as kind of showing himself as that more dominant wide receiver last season, and I think that'll continue as well. And I agree. I would skip over Reed and then jump down to Golden and then jump back up to Reed as well. Our last team here of your shoot your shot situations is the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's 3 wide receivers to talk about. BTJ, Jacoby Myers, obviously, who came in mid last year, and little baby Parker Washington, which I love me a little Parker Washington. But these 3 guys are a toss-up. You have BTJ going in the end of the 6th, Jacoby beginning of the 9th, and Parker Washington in the 7th round. Shoot your shot. Let's say, who ends with the most targets, receptions? Who ends with the most fantasy production, let's say?
I think your safest bet here is Parker Washington. I think Parker Washington is the safe bet. If you're going to want a piece of this Jacksonville wide receiver room, Parker Washington, that's the safe bet. For upside, it's BTJ. BTJ is the only one of those 3 that I believe can be a top 10 receiver. just because of his athletic ability. And if for some reason him and Trevor Lawrence get back on the same page, especially with those deep routes, and I don't know, maybe they utilize BTJ appropriately instead of just having him run a 9 route the entire time, I believe that he has the ability to jump back up in the top 12 like he was his rookie season. So his ceiling is definitely the highest. I don't mind that ADP either in the late 6th, early 7th.
Oh, no, it's a good ADP for BTJ. Again, like, he had such a good year in 2024, and then obviously people were very frustrated with BTJ last year. He had a little bit of sparkle and shine. Again, second year of this offense now. So, like, we got another year under our belt. Only concern here is is there any impact of Travis Hunter coming back and making waves here as well? Because that's another name.
Yes, but for me, it's not going to be – I'm not taking Travis Hunter.
No,
I'm not taking Travis Hunter because –
who is it going to impact the most?
I mean, it impacts all of them. I think it impacts Parker – look, I think it impacts BTJ the least because I think the routes that he runs, he's on the outside. Travis Hunter, I think, will be a little bit more in the slot. So I think it impacts BTJ the least. But again, if I'm shooting my shot, I want the guy who can be a league winner, and I think that's BTJ. So I think that's who I take, and I just live with the consequences.
Okay. If you were looking at ADP for receivers, BTJ and DK Metcalf are kind of in that same tier near the end of the 6th. You're going to go BTJ over DK.
BTJ,
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
DK does not have the ceiling.
You don't think he has the ceiling?
No.
Simply because quarterback production, or just because Aaron Rodgers and DK just don't seem to connect well?
It's a mix of Aaron Rodgers and DK not being the correct combo. Aaron Rodgers is a precise quarterback that everything's technical, doesn't like throwing into traffic, doesn't like throwing interceptions. DK is not a separator as a receiver. DK is I'm going to out-muscle you at the point of contact.
He's huge.
Yeah, so I don't think it was a good mesh and a fit to begin with. And I don't see the upside there. I don't think the Steelers are a very good offense, so I'm definitely on the BTJ side.
Okay. All right, Cleveland fan. No, I agree. I think BTJ's value is really good near the end of the 6th. I think any of these guys, though, are draftable players. I agree on, I really like Parker Washington, but I think if Jacoby Myers is in the 9th, and what we saw out of him last year for just a little bit.
What's your ceiling? What's your ceiling, though?
Yeah,
wide receiver 32?
Yeah.
I mean, let me look at what he did last year. I just don't think he's got the ceiling. He's a great wide receiver for the NFL. Yeah, he finished wide receiver 32 last year, 19 on Vegas the year before when he was the only guy, 24, 28, 30. I don't think his ceiling's any higher than early wide receiver 3, where I think BJJ can be a top 12, and I think Parker Washington can be a 12 to 24.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I'm leaning Parker Washington ahead of Jacoby Myers. Obviously, yes, ADP tells us that, but like, if I want someone on my team and for some reason I don't fall to a BTJ decision-making place, I'm looking for Parker Washington at that point. And obviously, where they're falling, that might be a decision of, hey, if I'm in the back end of the draft, maybe BTJ is going to be there. If I'm in the front end, where on the snake around, maybe Parker Washington is someone I can target then. Again, I want a piece of the Jacksonville Jaguars offense as well.
Absolutely.
Mostly in the form of Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, that's all we've got for this week on our top 20 wide receivers. Hopefully you enjoyed. Obviously, share some comments below this episode. Let us know what you're liking, what you're not liking. Give us a little bit of feedback. We love it. If you have any questions that you have for episode ideas, questions for your draft, anything, ask. We can add a segment in of, audience questions and whatnot. Upcoming episodes on the horizon. We have more positional breakdowns and rankings, values and busts, draft strategies, and of course, 10 things you need to know before draft day and more. If you're not already, make sure you follow us on social media, both TikTok and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube so you'll never miss an episode. But that's all we got for you this week, guys. We'll talk to you later.
YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can find us anywhere at this
Spotify
point.
and Apple.
We're now.
We're my
back
producer
on everything.
husband said, "Hold my beer. I'm going to figure out how to get it on every platform." Damn
back
it! And
on
now
everything.
we are. All right, we're back on all of it, so you can catch us freaking anywhere you like to stream your podcast, or you can watch our beautiful faces live on YouTube. But that's all we got for you guys. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk soon. Bye.
Peace.